On behalf of the 20th President of the National Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated, Dr. James T. Averhart, Jr., Chief Warrant Officer 5, retired, welcome to the 13th Annual Montford Point Marines Day Ceremony. I am First Lieutenant Ashanti Curry, your narrator for today. Today's ceremony is even more significant as we also celebrate the 80th anniversary of the arrival of the first African-American recruit, Howard P. Perry, who walked the hallowed grounds of Montford Point Camp. As part of today's ceremony, the Honorable Carlos Del Toro, 78th Secretary of the Navy, and General Eric M. Smith, 36th Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, will posthumously present the Congressional Gold Medal to families of 11 Montford Point Marines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you are able for the invocation given by Reverend Roosevelt Baxter Jr., pastor of Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Wilmington, North Carolina, and remain standing for presentation of the colors, honors to the 78th Secretary of the Navy, honors to the 36th Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, and our national anthem.
We're praying together. Gracious God, the giver of all good and perfect gift, we are grateful that you've allowed us to bear witness to the dawning of another day. We are grateful that you've allowed us to gather that we in turn might remember, reflect, give honor, and celebrate the legacy of such great men. We're grateful for the travel of those who've come from far and near. We pray, oh God, that you'll put your fingerprint of love and approval as we celebrate, as we honor. We pray, oh God, that you'll bless those who are participating. We pray that it'll be a blessed event. And when the day comes to a close, we'll be able to declare it was good for us to be here. Bless our gathering. I ask it in the marvelous, the wonderful, the matchless name of Jesus. Amen.
March on the colors. Host the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin today's ceremony, please allow me to introduce our official party. We ask that you please hold your applause until all have been introduced. The Honorable Theodore R. Britton, Jr., former ambassador to Grenada and Barbados, and an original Montford Point Marine. The Honorable Carlos Del Toro, 78th Secretary of the Navy, today's keynote speaker. General Eric M. Smith, 36th Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps. Brigadier General Andrew M. Niebel, Commanding General, Marine Corps Installations East, and his wife, Joanne. Representing Onslow County Board of Commissioners, Vice Chairman Timothy Foster. Representing the City of Jacksonville, Councilwoman Cindy Edwards. Hosting today's ceremony, 20th President, National Montford Point Marine Association Incorporated, Dr. James T. Avahart, Jr., Chief Warrant Officer 5, retired. And National Queen, Montford Point Marine Association Incorporated, Miss Lovietta Batts Herring. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for today's official party. Today's ceremony honors the outstanding achievements of approximately 20,000 Marines who served their country honorably and who passed through the hallowed grounds of Montford Point Camp, now Camp Gilbert H. Johnson. We are privileged to have some of these heroes present today, seated in the tent to my right. Ladies and gentlemen, the Montford Point Marines. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Brigadier General Andrew M. Niebel, Commanding General, Marine Corps Installations East.
Good morning. I'm, as was just said, I'm the Commanding General of both Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune and Marine Corps Installations East. My 5th time stationed here, and it's an honor to be able to speak to all of you today. But before we get started, I want to recognize some of the younger and more energetic folks in the crowd, including Carol Braxton, Eva Griffin, F.M. Hooper, Jr., George McIvory, Theodore Britton, Jr., and Delbert Davis. Folks, these Marines bear the honor of being an original Montford Pointer. Please join me in a round of applause for them, their families, and all those who made this ceremony happen today. You heard Lieutenant Curry just introduce the official party. Some exceptionally distinguished guests are here in the audience today. But I think it bears mentioning, we also have some other folks that are extremely important that have spent their time here this morning. And it lends to some of the significance and importance of the event that is occurring today. Secretary Walter Gaskin, North Carolina Secretary for Military and Veterans Affairs. He's also the he was also the MEF commander, second 2 MEF commander here in Camp Lejeune, and I worked for him. I was just 17 echelons below where he was at the time. We have the current 2 MEF commander, Lieutenant General Dave Adignan here, who just took over last week. Lieutenant General Ron Bailey, U.S. Marine Corps, retired, and you may see a little bit more of him today in the museum. He was inducted to the Marine Corps Sports Hall of Fame. Major General Cornwell Wilson, U.S. Marine Corps, retired. Major General Scott Benedict, our commanding general of the 2nd Marine Air Wing, is here today. Brigadier General Calvert Worth, our commanding general of 2nd Marine Division, and Brigadier General and his wife, Mike McWilliams, the commanding general of 2nd Marine Logistics Group. In addition to all of those generals, we've got multiple 06 commanders here from around the area and senior enlisted advisors here with them today. Our partners in town, we can't do what we do without Onslow County and the city of Jacksonville. We've got multiple elected officials here, and you're going to hear from some of them today. And I also want to mention some folks in the Montford Point Association. Ms. Latasha Alexander, National Montford Point Marine Association Auxiliary President. Major James Capers, Jr., retired Marine. And then we've got our Chapter 10 folks that are here in force today. Thank you all for coming today. On the 5th of November last year, I was honored to speak about the history and future of Montford Point at the museum's ribbon cutting. And as I prepared for today, I went and relooked at interviews and speeches that were given, documents of some of the folks that have come before us. It exemplifies some of the great pioneers, not only in Montford Point, but in our Marine Corps. And it's important that their stories never be forgotten, and we remember them through stories, ceremonies, and celebrations like the one today. If you look around Camp Johnson today, you're going to see many things. You're going to see the sheer destructive nature of Mother Nature. When Hurricane Florence came and sat on top of us in 2018 for 3 days, you're going to see worn and faded buildings that represent the passage of time, but you're also going to see a rebirth, a rebuilding that is happening, represented through renovations and reconstruction. In the center of all of it stands a museum complemented by the monument that you see in front of us today. Both of them are visible manifestations that link our past to our present. They give us hope for the future. And they remain a steady symbol of our resolve not to judge one by the color of their skin, but only to see a Marine in front of you. A Marine that represents the world's toughest fighting force. A Marine who is committed not only to our Corps, but to our nation's calling when asked. So enjoy the day today. Today's a celebration. Thanks again for attending, and I'm now going to turn the podium over to Mr. Tim Foster, our Onslow County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier General Nebel. Next, please welcome Commissioner Tim Foster to the podium.
Good morning. On behalf of Chairman Jack Bright and the Onslow County Commissioners in Onslow County, we welcome you here today in celebrating a momentous occasion of the 80th anniversary here on the steps of Camp Johnson, Montford Point. The United States Marine Corps is embedded deep into the fabric of Onslow County and the city of Jacksonville, much as Montford Point and the Marines that represent it are embedded in the fabric of the United States Marine Corps and Onslow County. As the welcome in your program states, all Marines from that point forward stand on your shoulders. Not only the Marines of the United States of America, but the families that you represent, that you open the doors for opportunity, not only in the Marine Corps, but opportunities that are available to everyone and should be available to everyone in the United States. So once again, on behalf of Chairman and the Onslow County Commissioners, we welcome you in celebration of Montford Point, Camp Johnson, and what you have done, not only for here in Jacksonville in the Marine Corps, but in the United States as a whole. We all stand on your shoulders, and we look forward to continuing a bright future for everyone that lives and works in the United States. Thank you. Have a wonderful celebration. And I wish I was a part of the United States Marine Corps, but in my heart I am, because I appreciate what you do. What you do, not only here, but abroad. You are the example of freedom and the sacrifice. Thank you to you and your families. I bring up next City Councilwoman Ms. Cindy Edwards.
Thank you, Commissioner Foster. We now invite Councilwoman Edwards to the podium.
Good morning. On behalf of the City of Jacksonville, Mayor Sammy Phillips, the entire City Council, and a very grateful community, welcome, welcome, Montford Point Marines. We welcome you, your families, our friends, military leaders, and distinguished guests. Today we are honored to be a part of celebrating the service, sacrifice, and legacy of the Montford Point Marines. While we cannot undo the wrongs and injustices of the past, we can acknowledge them. We can tell the stories for generations to come, and we can proudly be part of building a better community and future together. This is one city. This is our city. And our city is proud of the Montford Point Marines. Your honor, your courage, your commitment, your service and sacrifice. And we as a city will continue to support the Montford Point Marine Association's efforts to ensure the Marines who serve here and their families are located, identified, and get to see the legacy of that service honored through the Congressional Gold Medal. We were proud to be part of supporting the memorial that we meet at here today. And on behalf of the City Council, all of our residents, we want to extend a warm hero's welcome to everyone that's here today. And together, pause to say, thank you. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you. God bless.
Thank you, Councilwoman Edwards. Now, please welcome the 20th President, National Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated, Dr. James T. Everhart, Jr., as he comes forward to provide a brief history of the founding of Montford Point Marines Day.
To Secretary Del Toro, General Smith, Secretary Gaskin, Montford Point Marines, General Officers and Commissioned Officers, staff, non-commissioned officers, Marines, members of the National Montford Point Marine Association, auxiliary, friends, and supporters. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. How good and pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together in unity. I greet you all on behalf of the Montford Point Marines and members of the National Montford Point Marines Association. The Montford Point Marine Association is a non-profit veteran organization established in 1965. Our mission is to perpetuate the legacy of the first African Americans who trained and entered the United States Marine Corps from the periods of 1942 to 1949 at Montford Point Camp, New River, North Carolina. The association worked to improve the social condition of our veterans, local families, youth, and the growing population of senior citizens. Let me begin by telling you that it is an honor to be here this morning to celebrate this historical occasion and pay tribute to the African-American heroes, the Montford Point Marines. We dedicate this program with the purpose of honoring these men of distinction sitting before us and all who trained at Montford Point Camp. They are true pioneers who have walked the hollow grounds of Montford Point Camp and persevered during a time of racial divide, and they want them. They had to fight for the right to fight. While sharing this moment in time with you on this very site, honoring our heroes, if you look around this beautiful site, this is a gem that represents the 20,000 and read their story, our story of resilience and reminders of what the Montford Point Marines and the great we unveil and share the vision with the 34th Commandant of the Marine Corps, General James Conway, and Sergeant Major. This vision Although a was planned and managed by the Montford Point Marine Association and members to fruition with many community partners, mainly the city of Jacksonville and many of you. We finished this monument 8 years ahead of with the mindset of if I can conceive, we can achieve it. The Montford Point Marines Association members, we're proud of you. The pleasure of gifting this monument to Secretary of the Navy, Secretary Ray Mavis, who kindly accepted. I'm reminded, and as recorded in history, while lobbying on Capitol Hill for the Congressional Gold Medal, and on this particular day, we had a scheduled appointment with then Senator Richard Burr. Past National Vice President James Carr and I aggressively lobbying for the Congressional Gold Medal along with 3 Montford Point Marines, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Carpenter, Staff Sergeant Eugene Groves, and Master Sergeant Reuben McNair. We secured his vote and support immediately. And Senator Richard Burr then asked, what else can we do for you? He asked, would a proclamation or resolution suffice? And I said yes to both. He also asked, if we name a day in their honor, what day would it be and why? I immediately replied, August 26th, which resulted in Senate Bill Resolution 587 by the 111th Congress. You see, it was on August 26, 1942, exactly 80 years ago tomorrow, the first African-American Marine recruit, Howard P. Perry, from Charlotte, North Carolina, will report to the segregated training area located 333 miles from where their white counterparts trained at Parris Island, South Carolina. Because of the sacrifice, perseverance, and commitment of the Montford Point Marines, tens of thousands of Marines are reaping their benefits and standing on the shoulders of these pioneers, trailblazers who dared to want to be a Marine when the African Americans were excluded from the Marine Corps. We can never return to those days. It's going to take strong leaders at the top, like Secretary Del Toro, General Smith, leaders who talk about and advocate for race relations and diversity in the Corps. But these are issues most leaders are uncomfortable speaking about, but we must. It's also going to take each one of us, for it lies in our hearts and principles, values, and our ability as Marines, active duty, retired, and even those exactly what we're doing today by preserving their legacy. These actions of equality was founded upon. These ideals are and among them are the rights to life, liberty, ideals that unite us today. It was these ideals that brought 20,000 African American gates. They came from all walks of life. They came to prove that patriotism is indeed colorless. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. The time has come for the Montford Point Marines to take their rightful place in history and elevate to national prominence with the men of the Navy's Golden 13, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Buffalo Soldiers, and the Triple Nickel. But this is not just Marine Corps history or black history. It's American history, and the world needs to know about the Montford Point Marines. May God continue to bless each one of you, and may God bless our leaders and the United States Marine Corps. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Avahart. Coming to the podium next to offer reflections by a Montford Point Marine, please welcome the Honorable Theodore R. Britton, Jr.
Good morning. I'm here to speak for the originals. Originals, hold your hand up, please. Good, good, good. You heard him. You heard what they've done for us to make us originals look good. So I'm here to thank you, to thank all of the Montford Point Marines. And I want you to know the Marines, Montford Point Marines just don't look like us. They are everybody who serves in the Marine Corps. A little history. Long before there was a Camp Lejeune or Hadnot Point, there was a Montford Point. There was a Montford Point. 3 months after Montford Point was first occupied, General Lejeune died. We needed a name for the overall camp, and that's how the name came about, Camp Lejeune. But I want to say again, all who have set forth on these hallowed grounds, not just here, but the entire section now known as Camp Lejeune, started out as Montford Point. So all of you are Montford Pointers, and God bless you. Okay, there's one of us who could not be here today, and I want to speak of him. His name is Charles Foreman. Charles came into the Marine Corps on September 2nd, 1942. Just 6 days, maybe 6 or 7 days after Howard Perry first set foot on Montford Point. Charlie became a platoon sergeant 1 year after coming into the Marine Corps. So in other words, he went from no stripes to 4 stripes in 1 year. Those were the days in which we were really advancing fast. I want to say this. For many who have heard of the 51st Defense Battalion, the 52nd Defense Battalion, there was another battalion, all black Marines. Would you believe it was called the 1st Colored Replacement Battalion? Charles Foreman was the first sergeant of that battalion. So he's not here, but I just want you to know he still lives in Orlando, Florida. He's 98 years old, and I want you guys to give a hand to Charles Foreman, who is not here today. I said that Marines come in all sizes, shapes, and colors these days. And so I have to charge these young fellows on our behalf, the flag flying, and to keep the name Montford Point out front. Okay, I said what Marines look like. The other day I received a letter and a calendar from the Marine Corps Foundation. I love them, by the way. They do a lot of good work. They help a lot of Marines. They asked me for a contribution. When I picked up the calendar, this is what I saw. Now, some of you can't see it, but this is the old Corps. We were not in it. Throughout the calendar, unfortunately, there are lots of pictures of the old Corps, but it's not Montford Point Marines. Today, we are all Montford Point Marines. So I don't know who will be talking to General Coriati up at the Marine Corps Foundation, but tell him it's time to shape up. When I came over to the Marine Barracks 2 weeks ago for the Friday night parade, I was accompanied by 5 potential new Marines. 1 was my grandson, and 4 were great-grandsons. I introduced them to General Smith over there. Okay, how can I appeal to these young guys by showing them a picture of this, saying, this is the Marine Corps? It's not. Well, anyway, I'm talking much too long, but I just want you to know that I'm happy to be here. At the age of 96, I'm happy to be anywhere. And I have to end with this story. There was a father who had 3 sons, and these sons never brought him a Christmas present or a birthday present. And here it was on a given day, it was his birthday. He came downstairs, and there were the 3 of them sitting on the couch. And he said, boys, I've got news for you. And they said, "What's that?" And he said, "Your mother and I were never legally married." And they said, "What? You know what that makes us?" And he said, "Yes, three damned ungrateful one." I want you to know that we Montford Point Marine Originals are grateful to you, Jim Averhart, and all the others around you, Joe Gator, all of those who helped to bring us where we are today, to give us this medal, to give us our first black general, Frank Peterson, who gave us our first four-star general, Michael Langley. These are all the things you've done to make us look good, and we are darn proud of you and happy and grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Britton. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed our distinct honor to host the 78th Secretary of the Navy, the Honorable Carlos Del Toro. Please welcome him as he comes forward to offer today's address.
Good morning, everyone. I knew I was going to be in trouble by not being the first speaker today. But I feel deeply honored to follow in the footsteps of these distinguished gentlemen who have spoken this morning, and I'm inspired by their words. And more importantly, I'm really inspired by their words to continue to do good moving forward. Mr. Ambassador, that picture may not look like our beloved Marine Corps today, but I assure you that our beloved Marine Corps today looks much the way it does because of the dedication of the Montford Point Marines. And I'm so very proud of that. And Commissioner Foster, by the way, if you still want to join the Marine Corps, I can make it happen. It's true, and anyone else who wants to join, I can make it happen. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for those inspiring words, more importantly, for your distinguished service. Dr. Averhart, thank you for sharing the remarkable story of the heroes that we honor today. Your words were also truly inspirational to me. General Smith, General Nibel, Commissioner Foster, and Councilman Jackson, thank you for joining us on this truly remarkable celebration. Let me first say that there is nowhere else in the Department of the Navy more important than for me to be here today with each and every one of you. I came here to first visit Paris Island and Camp Lejeune back in earlier part of the year in January. And I asked specifically to come here to this memorial to see it. And at that visit, I was asked to come here today to this ceremony. And I kept my promise. But I kept my promise not just because I was asked. I kept my promise because this is where I need to be here today as the senior-most civilian in the Department of the Navy, representing the President of the United States and our Secretary of Defense. So thank you for the invitation. Most of all, I want to thank each of the Montford Point Marines and all of the Montford Point families for honoring us with your presence here today, and to honor the 20,000 that came before you as well, too, and the many more Marines that have served in our beloved Marine Corps since then. As previously stated, it was here back in 1942 that the first African Americans earned the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor of the Marine Corps. The words spoken by Abraham Lincoln at the Gettysburg battlefield could just as easily applied to the sacred ground at Camp Johnson. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated this ground above our poor power to add or to detract from those actions. You and your loved ones have all consecrated this ground through character and grit in the face of racism, discrimination, and intense training. Before your valiant struggles on the bloody shorelines of Saipan, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa, you struggled here for justice, for dignity, for opportunity. We are all the beneficiaries of your victories in that struggle, and I personally feel it on a personal level. Because of you, because of your sacrifices, my family was able to find a better life and a free nation when we arrived here from Cuba. And because of you, I was able to pursue a naval career in a more inclusive military. You broke barriers. You won battles. You reached the highest levels of leadership. And you continued the fight from World War II to Korea to Vietnam. Every one of you answered the call, served with honor, and blazed the trail for many others to follow in your footsteps. Your legacy lives on in every man and woman who wears the cloth of our military uniforms in our country today. And on their behalf, and the entire 920,000 sailors, Marines, and civilians who serve in the Department of the Navy, I thank you. Your legacy lives on today in AFRICOM Commander Michael Langley, who this month became the first African-American Marine Corps 4-star general. How about a hand of applause for General Langley? And 10 other proud African-Americans serve as general officers in today's Marine Corps as well today because of you. Your legacy lives on, and each newly selected 1-star general and senior enlisted leader that I've spoken to over these past weeks, meeting them. Among those distinguished leaders were African Americans, women, Latinos, and many more. The diversity of those gatherings would have not been unthinkable 80 years ago. And they were built on the foundation that you laid here through day after day of searing heat, brutal conditions, and intense training. Through your honor, courage, and commitment, you prove that we are the strongest when we draw from the power of the entire nation. You continue to prove it throughout your lives, from the battlefield overseas to the communities and the families that you served in your civilian lives. Your example fuels our determination to continue to do better and to build an even stronger, more inclusive, and more diverse military force today. We cannot fulfill our mission of national defense without recruiting, retraining, training, and promoting the best that all America has to offer. We need a force today that looks like America today, so that every child can see themselves wearing the uniform tomorrow. This is a national security imperative. Earlier this year, I had the honor of commissioning the USS Frank Peterson, and some of you were there with me that day, in honor of the first African-American Marine aviator and the first African Marine general. And as I said at that gathering, there is something deeply poignant in being the first. Because for every Marine or sailor who broke a barrier or blazed a trail, there are generations of others before them and others who had their dreams deferred. We cannot be satisfied with individual milestones. We must build an enduring force where we can thrive and reach for the stars. That's why we're taking a hard look at our policies and our practices to identify the causes of underrepresentation. We're implementing a new approach to talent management in the Marine Corps and throughout the military, matching the diverse talents of individual Marines to the actual warfighting needs of the Corps. We're looking at our operations, finding ways to use diversity to improve our innovation, adaptability, and organizational learning. And finally, we're building a culture of warfighting excellence founded on leadership, dignity, and respect without compromising our standards ever. We owe it to all who serve to ensure that they have every opportunity to thrive and to grow in the service of their country without bias or barriers. At every level, our Marines and our sailors must know that their concerns are being heard and they're being taken seriously. That is my determination as your Secretary of the Navy. It is a determination that grows stronger whenever I meet remarkable warriors like yourself. Each of you stood strongest in our nation's greatest hour of need. Each of the families here today grew up with stories of valor and courage and the lasting scars of service, both seen and unseen. All of us who serve today owe you our utmost efforts as we continue to fight in defense of our nation we all love and the values that we all hold dear. There is still a very dangerous world, requiring the finest of our nation to respond when there is a need. Tomorrow marks the first anniversary of the bombing at Abbey Gate in Kabul, which took the lives of 11 brave United States Marines, along with a brave Navy corpsman and a brave Army soldier. They died as they lived, protecting others, saving lives with honor, courage, and commitment. Because of those 13 heroes and their fellow Marines, sailors, soldiers, and airmen, over 124,000 people were rescued from the hands of the Taliban. We don't know what other dangers and challenges we will face in the future, or what the future will actually bring. But thanks to those brave Americans that we honor here today, and all who followed, we know that we can always count on the finest of all of our nation to answer the call as United States Marines. So today, with an eye towards the future, as well as an eye towards the past, I am deeply honored and humbled to bestow the Congressional Gold Medal upon the legendary Montford Point Marines. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless your families. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for your presence here today and for your insightful words. We now ask General Smith and President Everhart to please join Secretary Del Toro at the podium for presentation of our nation's highest civilian award, the Congressional Gold Medal. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Attention to orders. United States Marine Corps, Montford Point Marines Certificate of Recognition, posthumously awarded to Sergeant Major Joseph L. Banks, Staff Sergeant James R. Francis, Staff Sergeant William A. Milliner, Staff Sergeant Thomas Reeves, Sergeant James S. Cook, Sergeant Joseph T. Holmes, Sergeant Fred Moselle, Corporal William W. Brown, Corporal James A. Edwards, Private First Class Ernest F. Wells, and Private Major J. Gibbons. In recognition of selfless service and sacrifice, the United States Marine Corps proudly honors the legacy of the Montford Point Marines. From 1942 to 1949, nearly 20,000 African-American men joined the Marine Corps, despite harsh conditions between fighting for democracy overseas and denial of civil rights at home. After completing arduous and segregated basic training at Montford Point Camp, North Carolina, these Marines served with distinction during some of World War II's most challenging struggles in the Pacific. Some made the ultimate sacrifice. Others continued their service through Korea and Vietnam, and back home in the continued fight for civil rights. Montford Point veterans are legends in the rich history of the Marine Corps. Choosing to put their lives on the line in service to the nation, they advanced the cause of civil rights and contributed to President Truman's decision to segregate the armed forces in 1948. 64 years later, the 112th United States Congress awarded the Congressional Gold Medal as the highest expression of national appreciation to the Montford Point Marines for patriotism and distinguished achievement. Collectively, all Montford Point Marines helped pave the way for the many men and women of all ethnicities and backgrounds who serve in today's military. Semper Fidelis, and God bless the Montford Point Marines. Signed, David H. Berger, General, United States Marine Corps, 38th Commandant of the Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Sergeant Major Joseph L. Banks is his son, Joseph Banks, Jr. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Staff Sergeant James R. Francis is his daughter, Marie Francis. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Staff Sergeant William A. Milliner is Sergeant Major Johnny B. Young, Jr., President, Lejeune Chapter 10. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Sergeant James S. Cook is his son, James S. Cook, Jr. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Sergeant Joseph T. Holmes is his son, Mark Holmes. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Sergeant Fred Moselle is his grandson, Maurice Smith. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Corporal William W. Brown is his son, Eric Brown. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Corporal James A. Edwards is his daughter, Robin Lake. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Private First Class Ernest F. Wells is his son, Greg Wells. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Private Major J. Gibbons is his daughter, Geraldine Armstrong. Accepting the Congressional Gold Medal for Staff Sergeant Thomas Reeves is his wife, Evelyn Reeves, who will be 93 years young on 30 August. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the outstanding contributions made by these Montford Point Marines. Ladies and gentlemen, we hosted them last year, and today they are back for an encore performance. We are privileged to enjoy another amazing performance by the United States Marine Corps Silent Drill Team under the direction of Captain Nicholas R. McGuire.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. takes great pleasure in presenting the United States Marine Corps Silent Drill Platoon. The Marines before you represent over 7 decades of marching and rifle drill precision. Premiering at Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. during the Sunset Parades of 1948, these Marines performed their precision drill in hundreds of public appearances throughout the United States and abroad each year. In addition, they represent the Marine Corps at numerous ceremonies in the national capital area, honoring visiting dignitaries and heads of state. Comprised of infantry Marines, the silent drill platoon executes its sequence without cadence or verbal command. The M1 rifles they carry, with fixed bayonets, weigh in excess of 10 1/2 pounds. Representing Marines around the world, the silent drill platoon demonstrates the finest in Marine professionalism, esprit de corps, and marching precision. The platoon commander is Captain Nicholas McGuire of Chester, New Jersey. The platoon sergeant is Staff Sergeant Henry Truzzi III from Louisa, Virginia. The platoon rifle inspector is Corporal Stephen Almaguer from Deer Park, Texas.
Mark! Time! Put!
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Marine Corps Silent Drill Platoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed an outstanding performance by the United States Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. Let's give them another round of applause. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please remain in your seats for the departure of the Secretary of the Navy and the Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, excuse me. I repeat, please remain seated. As we conclude this year's 13th annual celebration of the Montford Point Marine Day. Oh, well, I think they turned me off. It's on, but, well, I guess. Test, test. I know, and I'm a commo too, so this is a little embarrassing. I guess they turned it off. Well, we're all off script, I guess. So we were supposed to honor them. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hi, I had to finish this. I'm about to right now. As we conclude this year's 13th annual celebration of Montford Point Marines Day, on behalf of the President of the Montford Point Marine Association, Incorporated, we want to express our sincere appreciation to Secretary Del Toro and to General Smith for attending today's events. We also want to thank the Silent Drill Team for another exceptional performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for the 2nd Marine Division Band. The dedicated Marines standing before you are from 2nd Supply Battalion. During World War II, the Montford Point Marines performed many similar functions to those who serve today at 2nd Supply Battalion by supplying bullets, beans, and bandages essential to the war. As such, the Montford Point Marines and 2nd Supply Battalion have forged a special bond. Today's color guard is also from 2nd Supply Battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for your attendance, and we look forward to seeing you next year for the 14th annual Montford Point Marines Day ceremony. Please stay safe and enjoy the remainder of your day.